Question everything in pursuit of your purpose. Ask yourself, what if?
Well, thank you guys for joining us today for another live episode of the Pursuit of Purpose, What Are We Doing? Live series that we do every Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm going to let him introduce our topic for the day.
It's going to be fatherhood.
Fatherhood. You know, that's a lot to talk about, right?
Oh, yes. Tons.
You know, we've talked about politics. We've talked about leadership. We've talked about business. We've talked about all kinds of stuff. We've talked about taxes. We've run a lot of different topics.
Right.
But one of the things that we talk about a lot, and we hear it discussed in the news a lot, is the decline of our culture, the decline of society.
Right.
And
curious people want to know, why is that? Why is our society, in at least segments of our society, going into this rate of decay? What is propelling that? And maybe that's something we'll get to explore today.
I hope so. And one of the things that I attribute that to, and I think it's easily, you can do all the research you want, and I think it's easy to figure out that this is a fact, it's a truth,
yes,
is that we have a lack of fatherhood in the American family.
Yes.
And I don't know the exact statistics, and I'd love it if some of our audience, thank you guys for joining us, by the way. I see you, Gray Ghost, Keystone, Pinocchio, love the name, Peter Gavigan, Lauren Pena. Hey, it's good to see you. I'm going to invite you on if you want to talk about this.
Yes.
Today we're talking about fatherhood. So I'd love for you to chime in on this if you'd like. But anyway, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us today on the show. Wherever you're from, whatever you're doing, drop a comment and tell us where you're at, what your location is.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike Lynch. Good to see you. Hope all is well with you. Anna McAllister, it's good to see you. Tool Bay, good to see you on TikTok. No matter where you're joining us from, whether it be on X, Instagram, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, or TikTok. Thank you for joining us. Tony Lewis 2713. Like I said, drop a comment. Let us know where you're joining us from. And then we'd also like to know, how does fatherhood, how does that concept impact your life? Did you have a father? Was your father a part of your life growing up?
Right.
And
was it a natural father, or
yes,
was it more of a chosen father? You know, maybe an alternative version. Being a stepdad, I like to think that I was able to play that role in many variables, including having natural children. So yeah, what's your story about fatherhood? And was it good? And you're reaping the fruit of that. Was it not so good, but you figured it out, and maybe you've done good things since then? Let us know.
And love to know if any of you guys that are joining, Marcus, good to see you. Cindy Fish 980, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining the show. If any of you who are joining or coming through the chat right now, if any of you are fathers, and I'd love to hear about your experiences as a father, as a person who has created kids, whether you. And it says, okay, someone says, the handle, did you know, says, are you stealing people's money? Oh, no. I actually, that money grew naturally on that tree over there.
I mean,
yeah.
If you want a little sprout, we'll make sure and sit you.
And those who join us on the show, thanks for asking. That's funny.
Yeah.
Those who join us on the show, in fact, we recorded an episode with an interview just before this live show today. We were on here doing one of our long format interviews. And one of the gifts that we give our guests who are able to join us in studio, we let them pick from our money tree.
Yes.
As a souvenir for joining us on the show.
I don't know if you can see closely because they're trying to get all. Those are $2 bills with our
they have our seal on
there. Yes.
It's a certified purpose leadership seal.
Yes.
And
And if you're curious about this at all, probably those of you who've been our friends for some time, but if you're new, we're actually doing this from inside of a decommissioned vault. We're in an old bank, and this is a vault. And that if you saw the intro,
it's not decommissioned.
right?
This is the vault of purpose.
It's the vault of purpose. It's a recommission. My bad. It is a recommissioned vault.
I'm gonna decommission you if you keep talking like that.
So the intro comes in through the vault door. So hey, we stayed with the theme. Hope you enjoy.
Yes, and we're giving you leadership gold right here, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
Leadership gold.
There it
So
is.
the topic of our discussion today. Hey, Dr. G. It's good to see you on there. And I know that you actually have some input on this. If you can join us live, Dr. G, if you can. It's great to see you either way. But our topic today is about fatherhood. We'd love to hear from any of you who may have some input about this topic. We had the amazing experience this past weekend on Saturday. We were invited to be keynote speakers at a fatherhood summit, a conference that's put on by Buckner Children and Family Services.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great honor to be a part of it. We've
Very
been
much.
a part of it for 4 years.
I think so.
We've been a part of it ever since they started it.
Mm-hmm.
And
we both have long history with Buckner, some through fostering. Back when I was in graduate school, I did work out there when they had a children's village. They don't do that much anymore. They've kind of have new incarnations, but they really do believe in healthy families and what that constitutes. And we happen to be invited on several occasions to try to have influence over some fathers in our area. And so some of them were actually caseworkers who worked there, hopefully get to take some good information with them. But the main audience we're always looking for are people who want to do fatherhood better.
And it's a worthy endeavor. And let's see. Chicana Americana says, may all men who didn't vote against Mexicans be blessed with a full head of hair and a healthy BMI.
Yes.
That's so funny.
I'm with it.
Well, I didn't vote against Mexicans, so I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know how to come back to that, Chicana Americana. But thank you for joining the show.
Yeah.
Love it. So today we're talking about fatherhood, and something I want to talk about that is a great opportunity. If you are a member of the male species, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to be a mentor, should you see fit.
Yep.
If you believe that you are someone of good moral standing, a good character, and you have it in you to give, it doesn't take money to be a father figure in a kid's life. It just takes time and a little bit of commitment. And that's more valuable than any monetary gain that you can imagine.
That's right.
And I wanted to throw this out there that there are countless opportunities, no matter where you live, no matter where you're from. And if you want help finding a way to plug in as a mentor or as someone who could help be a positive influence on a kid's life,
yes,
let us know, or even a young man's life. There are plenty of young men who have grown up in a fatherless circumstance that are past the age of chronological adulthood who still desire and need and are worth mentoring.
Right.
So I want to throw that out there, that if you have it in you to do that, don't be discouraged. And if you want help, be glad to help you.
Yes.
Jay Reeves, it's good to see you. Sand Blocks, it's good to see you. I love some of these handles that we see on here. It's great stuff.
But giving in that capacity is its own reward. It's not something that you have to change occupation. And I realize most of the folks that probably come on our show, I mean, you're professional people, you're busy. And I understand if you carve out just a little small percentage. I know Rob does a lot with coaching. We do a lot, make ourselves available for mentoring young folks in like classes and various things. I've been involved with a Christian youth camp, and now I've been on the board for 30 years. I think I've been out there for better part of 50 because I was a little boy when I first started as a camper. Well, of course, it's a perfect opportunity to give back. Yeah, and so please look for those. Well,
Chicana Americana is I'm not sure what you're wanting to talk about today, but we're talking about fatherhood and the need for more men stepping up in a fatherhood role in young men's lives.
Yes.
And not just, I mean, it's any male of the human species, any male can become a father. Any male can create kids.
Yes.
Once you reach maturity. It's that simple. It doesn't take a whole lot of ability to do that.
Right.
But it takes a real man, a man who has chosen to be a man, take responsibility for his life. It takes a man to be a dad,
Yes.
to be a real dad. And Dirt Therapy says, I think the difference nowadays is if they had a role model. And that's very true.
Yes. Yes. And because we are mimickers, think about that. You know, I recently had the privilege of hanging around some grandchildren, and some of which are probably in double digits, but there's a few newborns or maybe very small toddlers. And all they're doing is mimicking what we're saying and doing, or at least they're trying to. So there's your perfect example of role model. And that's an excellent thing that you brought up.
Big Daddy says there's too many kids running around without dads. And that's a fact. That is a fact. And that's what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Part of this is I want to challenge you. If you're a male and you are able and willing, it doesn't take an enormous education. It doesn't take a big fat wallet.
No.
It doesn't even take a lot of time. But if you're willing to commit a little bit of time just to show a kid, especially a male child, but even a female child, positive, healthy attention,
Yes.
you can become a part of the solution.
Yes. And
Instead of just identifying and watching the problem grow.
exactly. Because obviously the summit itself grew out of an identified problem. So enough folks stood around and said, we got a problem. But at some point, proaction took over.
That's
and
right.
This is where the summit came. But I want to point out something Rob just said. There was a good fair amount of our summit was focused on the young girls, needing that in their life, so they will choose better, look for better young men when they get age appropriate. And I was very proud to hear that. So it wasn't just focused on the daddies who could do better. It was also focused on the influence on daughters as well.
Big Daddy says the problem is you see these women on social media, 7 kids, 7 baby daddies, as they call it. And that is true. Social media has, there is a part of social media that glamorizes and glorifies this behavior.
Yeah.
And it is definitely degrading our society and our culture.
Right.
And we can do better. We have to do better if we want better for our future.
Right.
And I can tell you this, and that's to your point, fatherhood, being a dad, crosses genders.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's a boy child or a girl child.
That's right.
They need a positive male influence in their
Right.
life. They need to know that they are worth the time of a man
That's right.
to invest into them, to show them how to, number one, be a man, or to love a man, or to be
Right.
loved healthy
Right.
by a man. And Chicana Americana says the cycle continues.
Yes.
Big Daddy says the kids aren't being brought up right. They live off the taxpayers. And
Some do.
part of that, I mean, that's unfortunately, there's a lot of truth in that we are raising generations of mentality of entitlement thinking, entitlement mindset. Like it's almost a cult of entitlement.
Yes.
And even on social media, there's glorification of that as well. In fact, some of them use it as a strategy. These, as you call it, baby daddies and baby mama thing. The females will breed with multiple males to produce these kids to generate income, because we've created a system to support
That
them.
rewards that. That's
They
right.
get rewarded for that.
That's
And
right.
this perpetuates this ongoing cycle of the removal of dads from the home.
Right.
And OG Spicy says it's all relative. 50 years ago, people complained about sharing water with people of color. Yeah, but that's an unrelated thing.
Yeah. So
Yes.
here's a question for those of you who are contributing, and thank you for contributing to the show today. So what are some things that you think would be good messages in the form of maybe quality questions of, say, a young dad or potential father, or maybe pro actions, some things that you would like to tell them? chime in with some of that, and let's see if we can't share that with our audience, because some people may be sitting around saying, hey guys, I'd love to do something. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to ask. And yes, we could come up with those, but this is your show. This hour is for you. What would you like for a young person to know, a young dad to be more specific, if you had the opportunity to have a brief little audience with them?
Hey, Captain 7 America, it's good to see you. So Chicana Americana says it's not unrelated. The same mentality is raising the youth. You can't share schools or libraries. I'm not sure what you mean. That people who are pushing a racism agenda, that's extraordinarily narrow-minded. This has nothing to do with racism.
No.
We are talking about the need for male presence in kids' lives. That's what we're talking about.
That's right.
If you want to talk about racism, go find another chat
Please
and do it there.
Yes.
Sergeant Bull, sing while changing diapers.
Okay.
Chicana Americana, you know what I mean, but you deflect. No, I'm not. We're just not playing the game.
Yeah, we're good.
You're welcome to talk about the need for fatherhood. You're
Yes.
welcome to talk about whether or not you had a father in your life.
Mhm.
You're welcome to talk about that influence and how it impacts you
Mhm.
and how we need that. You're welcome to talk about that.
And just for the record, I actually am a pretty good singer, and I sang in my house a lot, and I'm sure my kids are like, stop, but they remember it because we talked about it. Hey, I taught my kids rock and roll. They didn't know.
So keep on living for life. Quality time is more important than physical gifts. That is an absolute truth.
Yes.
And that's something I was working towards trying to bring home earlier, was that it doesn't take money. It doesn't take things. It doesn't take, all it takes is time and focus.
Right.
The commitment to be there. Don't be there doing this.
Right.
Don't be in front of them doing that, because all that does is reinforce to them that they're not worth anything,
That's right.
that they're less valuable than whatever it is you see on that screen.
Yeah.
Be there in their presence, interacting with them. That's all it takes.
Honestly, it's just as much as these kids that we see today are mimicking our dysfunctions as the former generation, they can mimic our functions too. So yes, I remember we used to have a phone basket. We put the phone in the basket. Nobody got to use their phones at dinner, and our kids were busy. We didn't all get to sit down. Sometimes they'd be at practices and things like this. But by and large, we sure tried to make it happen. And I think that's why they're good parents today.
Hey, Sergeant Bull, thanks for joining us today. But I agree with you. Keep on living for life. Thank you very much. Captain 7 America. Oh, wait, BBB. What's the purpose of this nonsense? We're not talking nonsense right now.
No.
We're talking about the need for fatherhood,
Fatherhood.
with the need for dads in the home, the need for
That's
a
right.
positive male presence
Yes.
in children's lives.
Right.
And we're also kind of talking about how to be a mentor to a young person
Mhm.
in a positive way.
So so here's an interview as Rob's reading some of the comments. When you were young, were there activities you were involved in? Were you a sport? Were you did you do music? Were you maybe scouting? Because if you were in those things, and if you had got joy out of that, maybe those are start where you left off. Go right. That's why I coached for years, and most of it was volunteering. Once I left one profession as far as education and went into mental health, well, I wanted to go coach because I knew that was a built-in opportunity to influence young people.
So James Bond Jr. says, I'm not a father yet, but what advice do you have for me?
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that, the attitude behind that.
Yes.
But first, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for
Right.
being part of our audience.
Right.
Um,
And I love your name, by the way.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes, thank you. And hey, if
So-
others have advice for James as well, chime in, and then Rob and I would like to share some from this angle also.
I'm going to share something with you, something really interesting. I hope you find it interesting. It's interesting to me. My wife and I, I've shared with you guys that we've adopted kids. And our latest adoption came in the form of adoption at birth, unexpected, after the age of 40.
Mm.
And I'll be honest with you, I was resistant to that at the onset. The idea of having an infant, a newborn baby, after the age of 40 was exhausting just thinking about it.
Mm.
But what I learned, what this kid has taught me, was how much better I could have and should have done it when I was younger. When I was younger, as a dad, I was so focused on building my life. I was so focused on building my career, building my entrepreneurial pursuits, making money. I was distracted. I was still there as a dad. I was there as a coach. I coached all the sports. I went to all the school events and all that kind of stuff, but my focus wasn't as heavy on my kids. And when I was in their presence, I can admit to you now with great shame and humility, I was distracted even when I was there.
Mm.
And that's one of the biggest failures that I committed to my kids was when they were young, I was distracted. And I didn't know I was distracted at the time.
Right.
I was doing the best I could with what I had.
That's right.
I wasn't like going at it with the idea of I've got better things to do than be with my kids. No, I was going at it with the idea of I'm doing what I need to do as a dad to provide for them.
Yes.
But the truth is what they really needed from me the most was just for me to be there.
Just be there.
And to be all the way there.
Right. So that's the first thing to commit to, James. Commit to being present.
Yeah.
Commit to being present. And I'll and I want to say something else too. I've got to meet all of Rob's children at some point or another, but the two youngers are actually related. But the little boy is a mini me, and it's awesome. Rob is getting it all back. He's a great young man, and his sister's a beautiful girl too. But James, I want to say something else too. And I shared this at the summit this last weekend. I was holding my baby, who's now 30 this year, and a gentleman came up to me at church one time. And as I'm holding, he was complimenting this beautiful little girl. And then he asked me a question that I would want you to ask if you're anticipating being a father one day. He pointed at that little girl and he goes, "What do you want for her?" And I said, "Sir?" He goes, "What do you want for her in life? What do you want for her?" And boy, that question never stopped getting asked. Every time we signed up for something, even if I would respond to her little silly questions, or if I got down on the floor and played games, I wanted something to come from that would change her heart for good. And I like to think it worked out because she's a wonderful, wonderful young lady. I'm very blessed. But thank you. I appreciate that, man. I don't remember perfectly who it was. I remember the question.
So Sergeant Bull says, do we really ever know if we're doing a good job? And the answer to that question is no. I can tell you that what I look back on, and even now, doing a better job than I was before, but I guarantee you I'm not doing the best that I can. I'm not doing the best that I want. And I want so badly for them to know how much they're worth. I want so badly for them to know how much ability they have. I want so badly for them to see the value in the desires of their heart, not just in pleasing me. And, you know, that's one of the measures that I'm using now to measure about, do I see myself doing better than I did before?
So one of the things that I know all of you who are successful adults, and when I say success, it's a mental game more than a measure game, but now you have this pattern of curiosity. You come into a new situation, you ask quality questions, you do your own explorations, and then you do your own applications. Well, I can tell you, as dads who have gotten more than enough chances, that's what we're doing with these new chances. Age appropriately, we put these children in a situation. Ask questions, be curious, ask them what they want, and then ask them if they have an idea on how to get there. And it could be anything from fixing a toy to actually joining a team. But we still ask the same questions of them age appropriately that we ask ourselves every day.
You know, I find it fascinating. Our youngest, and by the way, for those of you who may be new and haven't heard these stories yet, but my wife and I have 8 between us. It's very much a blended family. So 8. And I'll tell you this, I've messed each of them up to the best of my ability. And but what I'm learning now,
they're a hot mess. No,
Sergeant Bull says, I feel like I am personally. It just takes patience and keep moving forward together, of course. Yes.
And patience needs a plan. Have a plan. For each conversation, have a plan.
What I find now is the most important moments that I've gathered with my kids are the times when I become fascinated by them. When I'm not trying to show them something, when I'm letting them show me who they are. And that was a moment of discovery that didn't happen until this youngest one came into my life.
Wow.
And I was always enamored with my kids. I love them. I mean, even our oldest is 27 years old now, and he's, the best man in his friends' weddings and things like that's what he was doing this weekend. And I'm really proud of all my kids. And we have a special needs child, and we have all these different things going on. And I'm so proud of them, but I believe that their achievements are in spite of me, not because of me. And
that's being humble. They saw how hard their dad worked. They saw that their dad had healthy ambition, and they were able to participate in a lot of things because of how hard this man worked. I know that's when we met. He was getting dirty every day, but that was part of it. That's what had to happen.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Chicana Americana, and I'm going to prayerfully say this to you, because what you said in your comment right there, that is a very small and narrow comment. And for those of you who may not see it in the chat, it says, a man that fails a marriage, divorce, is not capable to lead. Well, that shows me how little experience that you actually have in life, and what a small way of thinking you have. I hope, I pray that you're able to learn more about life and humility without having to negatively experience it. It is not true.
That's right. I can tell you this: divorce is like a death. From a counselor, I can say that. And death of any kind, whether it's loss of a loved one, we've had guests, those that have come into our show that have had that, or it's those type of alternative deaths like divorce. But in the hands of the right person, could promote tremendous growth. I've seen people come out of those losses and become people they never even imagined that they could. And yes, there are still those in their world that judge that conclusion, and that's their final call. And I say, well, that's sad, because they're missing out on what a great person you're becoming. And that's men and women. It doesn't. We're not necessarily focusing on the guys, but it can happen. So it's unfortunate that you see it as a conclusion, because it's not.
So Chicana Americana, give me just a second. I'm going to let you know, Sergeant Bull, that's beautiful. Sergeant Bull says his new project is to attempt to do individual quality time with each child. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
You don't have to like have an agenda in the moment, but make the agenda just that, those few precious moments of quality time. I think that's beautiful. That's going to be priceless, and it's going to pay off huge in return on investment.
Rob, I have a challenge for our audience. Get a pen and paper, and I'm going to give you time to do it. I'll come back here in a few minutes. I'm going to give you 5 things. I'm going to call it the 5 Ps. So go ahead and get you a pen and paper ready, and I'll come back in a little bit. I'll try to remember to share those things. And that's something you can study and think about maybe until we get back together next week.
So Chicana Americana says, and this is the person who was saying that if a man fails in a marriage, you can't be a leader. It says that it is true. Men are the leaders in the marriage. They fail. The marriage fails. The kids fail. It starts at the top. So I'm going to say this, just to let you understand. Marriage is not a 50-50 proposition. And you may or may not like that, but it's the truth. Marriage is 100%, 100%. And if either party refuses or fails or what have you to give 100%, the marriage fails.
Yes.
And even if the marriage stays together, it's failing. And the most successful and productive way that I've seen people be parents is to either love each other successfully, but they at least have to love themselves. If you can't love yourself successfully in front of your kids, then you won't succeed as a parent.
That's right.
And in order to love your spouse successfully, you have to love yourself first.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what your faith is. It doesn't matter what your religious practices are. These are universal principles. It doesn't matter. You have to love yourself first so that you can successfully and properly love your mate, your chosen person, whoever that may be, however that may be. And our kids don't hear what we say. They see what we do. They emulate us. They're influenced by us and what we do, how we behave. They don't, what we say, probably about maybe 3 to 5% influence on them. And the other 95, 96,
Yes.
98% of it is what they see us do.
That's right.
So if you,
That's why they call it models, role models.
so the best way to be a parent is to show your kid first that you love yourself, and then that you love them and the other parent.
That's right.
And even if the necessity comes that you have to split from the other person, you still have the responsibility to show that kid that you can love them and not be with them.
That's right.
And I'm talking about the other parent.
Yeah.
You don't have to like them.
No.
You don't have to be fake.
That's right.
But you have to love them in such a way that you are respectful of your kid through that relationship.
That's right.
Because they're going to emulate you. They're going to treat the rest of the world how you treat their parent and them.
I can tell you, as men who've had former marriages, both of us have encouraged our children to have relationships with the other parent. It wasn't a competition. No, be near your mother. Make sure, relate to her, connect with her. Even if you get angry with her, figure out a way to get through those things. There was no ill intent to hurt anybody. And I'd like to think that most people do think that way. They just realize at this stage of life. And, this is another thing, too. A lot of times when people, and they come in for counseling and they find themselves in a bad way in their relationships, one of the first things that we do as counselors and coaches is a little reverse engineering. How'd you get here? Who were you when you first got in this thing that you wished you would have been doing better that has now led to this conclusion? Well, you learn that. Now I got that. I have that knowledge in my mind. Imagine what my tomorrows will look like.
So, I thank all of you for joining us today. I really appreciate that. And thank you for all of you who are engaged in the audience, in the chat. I will say this episode is not political. No. And no matter what you say in the chat, no matter what you call us or what you do in there, you can do all that stuff. But we're not going to play that game today.
Right.
Today, it was a more valuable and heavy topic than politics.
Right. It's still on our heart. We were just at this summit. We prepared for it for quite some time. We just participated this last weekend, and it was too valuable to not bring today.
So I want to challenge our audience. If you get the opportunity, especially if you're a male of our species, become a father, become a dad. Mm-hmm. Become a dad, become a father figure in somebody's life.
Yeah, and
become a mentor.
That's right.
Learn to coach someone.
Yes.
And one thing that I'll guarantee you, this is a fascinating thing. It's why that process has become one of my very favorite things in my whole life. The nature of it is that you will gain more than you ever give, as long as you're not expecting to gain.
Right.
As long as all you expect is to give.
Because if you're giving of yourself, you're opening yourself up for reward to come back. That's how it works. Givers always gain in the end. So if you have a certain skill, maybe you're good with wood or mechanics or something along those lines, maybe you're good with computers, open yourself up to teach somebody. And you can do it in a very public way. You can have other parents around. You're like, come on, we're going to go to my shop. I want to teach you something. That will be a priceless lesson they will remember for the rest of their lives and likely repeat.
And one of the fascinating things, and we've done some work. One of my favorite things is to go out to. We have a juvenile detention center near where our studio is, and we go out there regularly and do some work with those kids. And one of my favorite things is to ask one of these kids. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. To tell me about their dreams, to tell me about their goals, to tell me about who they want to become, what they want their life to look like. I want to hear them, with their words, paint the picture of what their life can be. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, that is a mentoring moment. That is a moment that shows another person that they're worth your time to listen. That's as simple as it is. Mm-hmm. It's that simple.
Yes.
And those moments are priceless to those kids.
And their dreams are worth thinking about again and again and again. Yes.
And I didn't realize just how valuable that is to them until I was at our local Walmart and I ran across one of them.
Oh, wow.
They ran across me and walked up to me and said, they called me by name, Mr. Robert. and they still had my card because I'll give them my card. They get it in their belongings when they're released. They get their stuff. Good morning, Wickety Splits. Good to see you. So anyway, they came up to me and that was the one thing they remembered. They didn't remember the speech I gave. They didn't remember the lesson that I brought to them. They remembered the moment where I let them tell me what they wanted and tell me about the life they wanted to create for themselves.
That's awesome.
And that to me was so gratifying to hear that.
I mean, imagine that they were hoping for a chance to reconnect with Rob to give a report. You inspired me, and look at where I'm heading right now. I mean, that's a reward that is priceless. There's no dollar amount on that, for sure.
And to be honest with you, when the kid walked up to me, it was a big kid, and it was a boy, and he kind of startled me. I wasn't expecting it, and I remembered him,
right?
But you don't know how when you see them out of the environment where you met them when they're in a detention center, and you see them out in the in the free world, sometimes they don't want to acknowledge you because they don't want the shame that goes with where they were, their experience.
Right.
Fortunately, this kid didn't have that.
Right.
He was able to come up to me and actually give me a hug, shook my hand.
Right.
It was really cool.
Right. So you ready for your 5 Ps? Get your pencils ready. Okay. Here's the first one. Be present. Be present every day in some form or fashion. Even if you have adult children like we do who live off, they can get a kind word every day. But definitely when they're still in the home. Come home. Be present. The next thing is practice being polite. Kindness is your best asset. Even if you're having to do discipline, it could be done in a polite way. And you can learn how to do that by asking quality questions and looking for quality answers. The third is be a promoter of peace in the home. These hostilities and those sorts of things, even if the people who maybe it's a spouse or maybe it's other children are having outrageous moments, you do not have to participate. Be a promoter of peace. The fourth is bring patience. Be a patient person, but patience has to have a plan. Because if you're just walking around the problem, you're not being patient, you're being passive. Passive never works. It creates voids and holes. And we fall in those holes. But if you're patient, have a plan. We're going to work on this. So if you have to discipline a child, say, we're going to follow up later. Well, I don't have to harass them until the follow-up. I'm patient. Let time take its place. That's what happened when we go out there and we teach these young people. We're very patient that at some point it will take hold. And Rob's interaction with that young man is evidence of that. So there's your 5 Ps. Present, polite, promoter of peace, be patient, and have a plan.
Wickety Split, a.k.a. Kevin Bailey, he agrees. He says it doesn't cost anything to be kind.
That's right.
And that's so true. And moments of kindness are so profound to kids, especially when it comes from a male.
Yes.
And I mean, that's Kevin, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about fatherhood. I know that in the chat, if you're just joining us, for anyone who's just joining us in the chat, there's a lot of distraction going on, a lot of political talk. There's even some great and funny insults about us. But
is it my Sean Connery look?
I haven't heard that one
to
yet.
James Bond. Hey, that's for you, James.
That hadn't heard that one yet. We've been called gay. We've been there's all kinds of stuff. But
okay.
But anyway, the point of the discussion is today to emphasize just how much the role of fatherhood, the role of a dad, the role of a positive male influence is needed in kids' lives right now. In America especially, but not just in America. And one of our audience members in the chat earlier, I think it was Sergeant Bull, I think earlier, mentioned that he was going to focus on spending those quality times with his kids.
Awesome.
And I want to give him shout out for that. That's amazing. Thank you for that commitment. And what else is important about that is this thing, it penetrates, permeates, and prevails in our lives so much.
Right.
that our kids watch us with that thing in our hands constantly checking it for texts, emails, social media alerts, all they see us doing that. So they, in their minds, they are naturally developing this concept that that's where value lies. It's more valuable than them. It's where our attention should be. So they are developing that expectation for themselves. And we have to become aware of that so that we can teach them better.
I mean, to kind of simply put, whatever we value, they're going to probably value. So if we value a device over another opportunity, it shouldn't surprise me that they will also. Or if we're selfish, or if we're just sitting here watching TV all night rather than maybe doing some kind of talking or interacting or playing a game or something that's obviously more healthy, well, then they're going to value that too. They're going to be those folks.
Well, and in the interview that we did right before we went live with you guys today, we were talking about some things, and an amazing, profound principle was brought forth in this interview. We were interviewing a judge. We'll be publishing that interview soon. But the principle that was brought up was that our society, our people, we are in a perpetual state of transition. And I thought when he said it, I couldn't believe how profound it was. Right. We don't view anything as permanent.
That's right.
We don't view anything as stable. Therefore, we don't behave with stability. Right. And we don't give anything the value of permanence. That was so big.
That was.
So what we're teaching our kids when a man and a woman procreate, we teach them that relationship is temporary. From day one, from the first moment, it's optional.
Right.
The relationship is disposable.
Yes.
It's transitional. So we're teaching them that, and we're inculcating that into every aspect of life.
Isn't it interesting if you're the kind of person that has talked to your soon-to-be adult children about their careers, and we're pushing a lot of career development, whatever it is, whether it's in the trades or medicine or finance or whatever, and we're promoting them to be these builders, whether it's through school or certifications. So and what we hope is that they will just keep building all the way through until they reach retirement. They'll never stop growing. But have you noticed, and Rob, to your point and to the judge's point, we don't do that in our marriages. We don't go back and learn how can I, if you want to think of it in metaphorically, like how can I get another certification and how to do this better? Because your marriage, like any other, like your relationship with your career, is going to have seasons. And we have to be prepared. We're not going to go into it having mastered it in our 20s. That sounds naive and ridiculous. So in my 30s and 40s and 50s, how can I keep doing this better? You keep asking that question, you're going to have a institution of a marriage.
That's right. Hustle Muscle, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Sergeant Bull says, we also started playing a board game nightly. I think that's beautiful. That's too. A wonderful way to have healthy interactions. It's also a good way to teach them about winning and losing,
yes,
which is a very important aspect of life.
That's right.
To learn early on,
yes,
about interacting socially with one another and all that stuff. Siv Ashley, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. And well, guys, we're going to go ahead and draw this thing down. It's been a great discussion today. Yes. Thank you to everybody who entered the chat. Even those of you who insulted us or talked about stuff that was off topic, I appreciate you anyway. Thanks for your engagement. Sergeant Bull, thanks for your input and appreciate your commitment to becoming better. And that's all we got to do. We just got to commit to be better.
Yes.
You don't have to be the best. You don't have to know that you're a success. There's no way to know that. You just have to commit to being better than you were yesterday.
And you know what we call people who do that? We call them winners. Winners are people who do it better tomorrow than they did yesterday.
Well, thank you, all of you, for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. Thank you for being our audience. I hope you'll join us again next Tuesday, same time, 10 o'clock. We've got a great topic we're going to talk about, and it kind of relates to this, but it was a topic that came up today with the judge. It was another topic like that. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the topic is going to be. The topic will be a shift in leadership that we need to create from the ground up in our society. And this is part of it. Fatherhood is part of it.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you guys. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and we will talk soon.
Question everything.